LaToya Cantrell of New Orleans, Louisiana. It is so good to see you, even in this virtual space. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
It is such a critical time, such a historic time, and it really is a call for leadership and moral clarity and innovation during this coronavirus pandemic. My family is from New Orleans. I have roots there, so it is very personally important to me as well to learn what you have to say. I do know that, and you know too, that New Orleans is at the epicenter of the COVID-19 virus in the state of Louisiana, and you just reopened your city. Tell us what you saw and what you're experiencing.
On Saturday, May the 16th at 6 a.m., we officially reopened the city through phase one. We allowed or loosened restrictions around our retail and our restaurants, allowing them to operate at 25% capacity. And what we saw was we did see compliance. We saw a couple, bad actors that we are addressing today. And of course, we addressed them on the spot over the weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. But for the most part, there was real compliance there.
And you have asked the public, you've asked businesses, the community to participate in this plan in a very active way, and some controversy around it, of course, but this is contact tracing. You're asking those salons, those restaurants, even those Uber drivers, everybody to take down the name and the telephone number of their customers and keep it for 21 days. There are some who looking at the picture statewide, Louisiana, and say there's not anywhere near the number of those who would carry out the contact tracing, the resources available to make that effective. So how do you address their concerns, privacy concerns, as well as those who you are depending on that cooperation to make this work?
Well, it's necessary. And quite frankly, it's not asking for much at all. It's a name and it's a phone number. And it's making sure that the business is helping, being proactive in the need for effective contact tracing processes. That is something that is a non-negotiable. In order to isolate individuals that are positive and even those who should be quarantined, it's essential that this happens, because if not, we can go back into community spread. When it comes to protecting the lives of people, I don't think asking for a name and a phone number should be something that we would not do, especially a community that has shown resilience, shown that we are able to come back even in the post-Katrina environment. And so I'm asking people to, if they were here during Katrina, to remember that. And if they were not, respect that. Because we're wanting to make sure that the lives of this city, the people, are protected for generations to come.
Address the situation around Mardi Gras, because I know that there was no federal guidance, there were no regulations. In fact, the opposite was true, that the message coming from the Trump administration was one that everything was going to be okay and people were pretty laxed about it. And yet you were hit hard with that criticism, and you fought back quite strongly about that.
Our experts, our public health professionals, were in direct communication with the CDC, making sure that we got guidance every step of the way, from week to week to week, leading up to Carnival. And so making sure, hey, are we okay? Is this, are there any red flags? And hearing and seeing none, we move forward. And moving forward meant the federal government did too. We even had the big memorial service at the Staples Center for Kobe. You had Fashion Week happening. You had things happening across the United States of America that, had we been given a warning or a red flag, I'm pretty sure that none of this would have happened throughout the U.S. But again, leadership matters. And we didn't get that red flag nor that direction from leadership.
And we saw the impact of, perhaps it was in a most brutal way, through the Zulus. But that social club, to see 30 of those men test positive for the coronavirus and 8 who passed away, very, very tragic and personal for many in New Orleans there. there are some who looked at it too as a perfect storm, looking at the kind of the cultural manifestation of an expression of a community up against the health disparities, the racial health disparities that we see in our society, that they were so devastated. Can you talk about that? New Orleans being in what is called Cancer Alley, I believe, the 85 miles along the Mississippi, where you have pollution and manufacturing and poor health care and what that means to the community.
Well, in regards to health and health disparities in the city of New Orleans, it's something that was terribly, I would say, exposed in the post-Katrina environment.
Mhm.
And because of that, in the recovery coming out of Katrina, this city was very much focused, even more so, on those disparity gaps, which is why, as we rebuilt ourselves, we came back stronger. And a part of that was our medical community, for example, where pre-Katrina, we had very little healthcare clinics in neighborhoods that were primary care centers. Post-Katrina, we have grown they're all over the city of New Orleans. And that's because, again, being focused on those health disparities. And that's something that we've done as well as it relates to testing. We have stood up mobile testing sites where we go, again, where people are, where they live, so they don't have to travel all over the city to get a test. They can just go right there in their neighborhood and not just get a test, but have access to case management, mental health services, unemployment insurance, any issues that they're having, we're able to assess and meet them where they are again. So it's being intentional in our approach.
Mayor, I want to step back a little bit and talk about leadership, because I know you're a Henry Crown Fellow and very close to your class, that you have actually partnered up with some of your Henry Class Fellows, whether it's Goldman Sachs or Hope, in providing economic aid as well. But tell me what it is that you, from that experience at the Aspen Institute, that you use perhaps in your daily life that guides you in terms of a good society and the leadership and that it takes promoting a good society.
So one of the most important things is remaining in contact with my fellows, and also with just the overall network, and not being afraid to pick up the phone or send an email and say, hey, can I bounce something off of you? I'm really struggling, with, what may be keeping me up at night. Can you give me some insight? Or even if it's just someone who will listen and have a different perspective and is outside of your city, for example, that is not being political, that is just looking at the facts and providing that level of guidance, and also reassurance. Because sometimes you can believe and you're on the right track, but just talking to your colleagues and this network that has been just so fruitful and invaluable in providing you with the support that you need to lead, because it can be a little lonely at the top, and particularly when you have to make these tough decisions, and also when you have to defend the decisions that you make, and even, to folks in your community or even on the national scale. So I cannot say enough about my Henry Crown Fellow, my team, Bones and Elephants, and just the network I know you're part of as well. It really has made all the difference in terms of, in my capacity as mayor, and having to step up to another level of leadership in dealing with this pandemic.
And they were all with Mardi Gras on a float with you, is that right? Your whole class?
Oh, I mean, just words cannot even express, but I tell you, their experience on the float in 2017 helped them really provide me with support in this pandemic, especially when the nation was trying to blame New Orleans for community spread, with having Mardi Gras. But my team is there, my fellows are there, and now we talk every 2 weeks.
Oh.
That's intentional with providing the support that we all need as we move through.
What is the one thing you've learned about yourself that this pandemic has taught you?
I'm cool under pressure. And I knew that, but it's yeah, very, very cool. And being able to, and something that I learned with the Aspen Institute and my fellowship is just being able to turn the heat up and dial it back. You know, it's the balance. And so I reflect on those types of things and those readings from way back when that keep me calm and keep me focused while in the trough, because there's certain things that you cannot control. And so when you know you can't control it, you relax in it. And as you relax in it, you find your breath, you come up, and you continue to lead.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor. Appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Absolutely.